impressive, huh?
That's incredible. What is it?
Our very own Atlantis.
With the resurgence popularity of Cyberpunk 2077, I just wanted to, take a moment and note down my thoughts on sort of the whole thing. I was somebody who was actually really, really super excited about this game, even dating back to that old trailer of the Mantis Blades and the mech tac, whatever, people shooting at her or whatever. Anyways, when this game was coming out, I actually took time off of work, like days off of work, so that I could just dedicate way too much time into this, thinking that I was going to like join factions and get different apartments and do all this crazy stuff, and like so many other people, I was super disappointed when it came out, to the point where I actually didn't even finish the game. And now that it seems to be in a much better working space, I wanted to sort of come back to it with a sort of fresh set of eyes, as well as seeing where it sort of started and where it kind of came from. The first thing that I wanted to say is that the game is in a much better place than it was at launch. The bugs aren't game breaking. Civilians don't look like they're from fucking PS1. Night City actually looks alive. It looks like what they advertised. Being able to buy your own apartments, the cars not being insanely expensive, and transmog have transformed the game into what it was really supposed to be. Hell, the mission on screen right now, Judy's sort of culmination mission where you go to her hometown is actually breathtaking. Pun intended. I actually, while playing this, was wishing that more games had missions like this. It was super creative and heartwarming, and you got to see a side of V that you don't really get to see. One of my complaints about V is that I kind of don't find the character that likable. She or he, but they're kind of rough around the edges to the point of like I can't really roleplay them very well because I wouldn't do it that way. A lot of times when I play games like this, like be it Fallout or Mass Effect or whatever, I always try and do the good options and stuff. But even the good options in this, you generally just sound like a cold bitch. It's like, fine, I'll let you go and I won't murder you and your whole family. It's like, yeah, you made the good option, but that's not how I would have said it. But this mission itself is when I was playing it, I remember thinking that like, I don't think I've played something like this specifically ever. And I actually wish more games had things like this. That's how cool this was. It was like its own, microcosm of what things could be. And very recently, one of the narrative designers was actually doing a Twitch stream, and they were talking about the resurgence and the new popularity, and he actually got emotional and talking about how like they poured their blood, sweat, and tears into this game, and that it was choked him up knowing that people are actually being able to enjoy it the way that it was meant to be enjoyed. And while he was talking, this mission is really the one that popped into my brain, and I needed to highlight that there is a lot of good. With that said, there's still a lot of things that are broken, still have problems, and I wish was better. Now I'm not going to claim that they're game breaking like they used to be. A lot of them are much more. They're almost like Skyrim goofy bugs where they don't really fuck with the gameplay very much. Some of them are a bit UI buggy, and we'll get into that in a minute here. But I just wanted to say that as much as there are problems that I still think should be fixed, it is in a much better place that we can actually play it now. For whatever reason, a lot of the bugs that I found actually had to do with cars. Like in this example, when I was actually driving to that super awesome Judy mission, my car just wouldn't drive for some reason. Like I'm hammering the gas and it was just like chugging, and I didn't really get why. I even tried to reverse to see I can reverse fine, but I couldn't drive forward, and maybe it's part of the mission. I don't really know. Another thing that I had is here in that after the Judy mission, after you do her romance options, you know, you're supposed to have this kind of heartwarming moment where you're sitting on the dock and you're talking about like, you know, was last night a distraction or was the beginning of something beautiful? And you know, the moment was I was really kind of pulled out of it because the background just looked like this kind of brownie diarrhea in the background that took a lot of the heart out of the moment. And I know that it's like some weird desert fog effect, and I've seen it before, but like in this moment, it really took me out of the whole experience. And it happens like sometimes when it rains, it looks like that too. And for whatever reason, a lot of the weather effects just come out looking really gross, kind of. And a lot of times I don't really care. I'm just driving around. It's not a big deal. But again, this was like a borderline cinematic moment that really should have meant something. And I couldn't help but think like, God, this just looks like shit. Another one of these weird moments is you go to the bar, and if you've saved this guy here, Tiny Mike, he's actually at the bar, and he asks to like have a drink with you and for you to sit down. But the table that he's sitting at still had other NPCs sitting at it. So at first it just looked like goofy as hell because he's sitting inside of this NPC, and it's clear that like they'd sit there if you hadn't rescued him yet, but if you have rescued him, then he sits there. But even here, when I went to sit at the table, I sat inside the NPC, and he's like, oh, you know, we should really have a drink first. So I was like, all right, cool. And I'm so inside this NPC that when I go to take my drink, you actually see the inside of the girl's head that I'm inside of. And this, again, this whole moment of like, oh, you saved my life, blah, 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 we should drink together, is completely ruined by the fact that we're like inside of NPCs. Also, I know Pan Am's got a booty that doesn't quit, but her ass lifts this car to the point where I actually like walked over and was like, Johnny, did you see that? This was a UI bug that when it deleted a weapon, it started just scrolling like crazy, and this happens to me like all the time. I added this clip. I'm not totally sure why. Maybe just because it was really cool, but most of the issues that are going to come up are going to be car related. Like here, I just kind of, you know, blow up, but I get out of the car. I understand that there were landmines there, but like, why am I getting out of the car dead? And that's been since launch that bug has been in there. Here's another time that I'm just driving along the road, and as I go up the up ramp, I hit like an invisible wall that just launches me into a full, you know, barrel roll. I'm like, what the fuck? And this is a clip that I put up on my like TikTok or something, and this was within 15 minutes of coming back to Cyberpunk after the Edge Runner update, where this guy's body gets stuck into my car, and the physics just like, I'm just holding the gas and holding forward here, and my car is going fucking crazy because the physics think that something's like inside the car, to the point where it made me like do that insane shit. And as I was driving away, I was basically doing a wheelie the whole time. And it's not in this clip, but the only way that this stopped happening was that the dead NPC in my car just despawned. See, like I'm wheeling, like I'm doing a catwalk down the road. Here's another time I was like trying to use the doorway to pin them down and make a, you know, a kill box, and he just walks, or she, I guess, whatever, walks through the wall. Like the wall just wasn't there. I was very confused. No, this is just me fucking up. This is just funny. Oh, here there's a weird anti-aliasing effect. Like watch the ball, watch the stick. Like you can see the like fog from it, and you know, I see that periodically as well. So, you know, as I mentioned, Cyberpunk is definitely in a much, much, much better place than it was before, but there's still some things that need to be fixed, and I think they will be. I mean, they have a DLC coming, and, you know, Johnny's coming back, or whatever, like Keanu Reeves is still going to be in it, so I mean, I think they've got plans to fix it, and they just announced a whole bunch of other stuff from The Witcher to Cyberpunk, so I think we're going to get with the game we needed, just probably a few years later, and I guess that's just how it is. Thanks for watching, guys.